Very good afternoon to everybody. The High Representative will make some introductory remarks and then we'll take a couple of questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you, everyone. We started our meeting today with a discussion on the latest developments in Ukraine. I'd invited Ukrainian Foreign Minister Pavlo Klimkin to come and to talk to us about President Poroshenko's peace plan, as well as the plans to stabilise the country. All EU ministers supported the plan as a major opportunity for de-escalation of the situation and called on all sides to honour a ceasefire and create the conditions needed to implement this plan. We called in particular, of course, on Russia to support the plan and use its influence to ensure its implementation. We want to see the spiral of violence ending, and we called on all sides to do their maximum to protect civilians and to let humanitarian organisations do their job. We also adopted several concrete decisions. First of all, we started to implement our policy of non-recognition of the illegal annexation of Crimea and decided to prohibit the import of goods from Crimea to the European Union if they don't have Ukrainian certificates. Secondly, we agreed to establish a CSDP mission to assist Ukraine in the field of civilian security sector reform, including police and the rule of law. And steps will now be taken to get an early deployment of the mission during this summer. And finally, we completed the preparatory work necessary for the full signature of the association agreement and the deep and comprehensive free trade area with Ukraine, which will, as you know, take place on the 27th of June in Brussels, together with the signing of agreements with Moldova and Georgia. We're very much looking forward to this. We also confirmed today that the EU is ready to hold not just expert but also political level consultations with Ukraine and Russia on the implementation aspects of the agreement. And of course, ministers reminded everyone that any threats by Russia of trade measures against countries who sign these agreements are unjustified. In looking at our southern neighbourhood, ministers around the table were extremely concerned about the sentences pronounced this morning against the Al Jazeera journalists and those pronounced in absentia against a number of European journalists. We've also expressed great concern about the death sentences against more than 180 people in Minya and the recent decision by the court to start the process of imposing death sentences against 14 leading figures from the Islamic movement. We were pleased to welcome today Nikolai Mladenov, who is, as you know, the UN Special Envoy to Iraq, to look at how the international community can coordinate its efforts to ease the crisis in Iraq. Great concern of the rapidly deteriorating situation, including the latest reports this morning that see ISIS having taken control of a number of border posts in Syria and Jordan. As well as a serious security crisis, this is a major humanitarian disaster. We will do all we can to help. We've already made available €12 million in humanitarian assistance. EU ministers remain firmly committed to Iraq's unity, sovereignty and territorial integrity, essential for the stability of the whole region. And together with our international partners, we'll continue to support the Iraqi authorities in their fight against terrorism. I'll be meeting with Secretary Kerry tomorrow to talk with him about his visit to the region. We hope that following the recent elections, a government can be formed which fully represents the will of the Iraqi people and can meet the challenges that the country faces. We recognise that Libya is at a critical stage in its transition to democracy, and this can only be a success if it's based on a constructive political process, the rule of law and respect for people's rights. We're very concerned by the deterioration of the political and security situation. We see that the elections on Wednesday are an important moment, and we hope they will be peaceful and inclusive and lead to the formation of a government that can command wide political support. My envoy, Bernardino Leon, is working very hard with partners on the ground. It's vital that the international community coordinates closely, led by the United Nations. And we remain deeply concerned about the recent tragedies at sea involving migrants heading for Europe. We will continue our efforts to assist the Libyan authorities in the field of border control and security, especially through our mission. And finally, we welcome the announcement today by the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons that the remaining 8% of the Syrian chemicals have been removed from the country and loaded on board the Danish vessel Arc Futura. International pressure and the concerted efforts by OPCW and the joint OPCW-UN mission have yielded results. Thank you.